COP28 is still ongoing. What have you made so far of the negotiations, and you're confident that we will see real climate action once these 100,000 or so people are finished with their discussions here in Dubai?
From the negotiating sense, there is a lot of things going on right now. I'm paying attention to what's going on with global goal on adaptation because I'm working group 2, we look into that. I'm also keeping an eye out from the losses and damages discussion as well as the global stocktake discussion and the phase out for fossil fuels. There is a lot of pressure on the negotiators to come up with something that adds on to previous COPs. That is undoubtedly the case here. There is that demand for a good decision text to emerge from all these discussions. I am on the fence, more likely than not that something quite powerful will happen from this. So fingers crossed that that result will happen.
What's been your assessment of the UAE's leadership? It's been a contentious talking point.
It's been controversial.
It's been a debate, right? How much influence does the presidency really have over what can be achieved here?
He has a lot of influence. This is his show, and he's also under pressure to deliver a very strong COP result. So you can tell, I mean, he's been assailed from all different sides. I don't envy his position, but if there's anyone who can pull this through, given the fact that he's on home ground, he's from the oil industry that, let's be blunt, they have been contributing immensely towards the climate change problem with all the emissions, but they are part of that solution, and we cannot exclude that industry from the negotiation table. And he's trying to thread that fine line, and fingers crossed that for all our sakes, he'll be able to do so.
You spoke about pressure. Do you feel the pressure? Do you feel daunted by the task ahead, not just in your working group, but for the planet as well?
The pressure's there, but and I'm a bit fearful of that pressure. But I think I mentioned on record, if you're not scared of something, you're not serious about it enough. It's a big responsibility. I think we've reached a stage where we as a country can actually try and contribute more significantly towards the climate discussion, and I'll be very happy to try and lead that through my role as co-chair of IPCC's Working Group 2.
You're the first Singaporean in this role. Can you give me an insight into how you think your background, your previous research, your upbringing, your education gives you an insight? Singapore's climate experience, how does it dictate the way that you can lead this organization?
I'm a Singapore boy. I grew up in the East Coast. I born and bred in Bedok. Went to school in the East. Thanks to my brothers, they are in a way an inspiration for me because they kept badgering me. Why is Singapore so hot? Why is Singapore so hot? And that was the reason why I became a scientist in the first place. But in all seriousness, living and researching in a city-state like Singapore, which is at the vanguard of climate research, of good action for adaptation and mitigation. In particular, since the Singapore Green Plan has been put into place a couple of years ago, it helps to give me that grounding to understand, look, the solutions that can help in climate adaptation and mitigation in Singapore, reducing heat in the Cooling Singapore project that I co-lead, in terms of the coastal protection that PUB and other national agencies have been looking into in the long term, because we know sea level rise is a existential threat to Singapore. Those lessons can be translated, can be brought forward to other vulnerable coastal cities in Southeast Asia. And being from a region that will be rapidly urbanizing over the next 30 years, will double in effective population from 280 to about 540 million people by the middle of the century, you're going to have a lot of people who will be exposed to climate change, and they'll be hungry, they'll be very actively looking out for these solutions that can work. So my experience growing up in Singapore has taught me that it can work, these sort of solutions can succeed. They can be communicated and translated effectively to other regions. And the hope is that other cities, vulnerable cities, both in Asia and beyond, in other tropical regions as well, which are very rapidly growing, we can share this knowledge and we can work together to make sure successful climate action can take place.